Hello, 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 Gutsy Women. Welcome to this wonderful Monday in May. And wherever you are in the world, I hope it's actually turning out to be an absolutely beautiful and blessed day for you all. So today I have the honour and privilege of interviewing the lovely Meg Harkins. She's a member of our group, lovely member of our group, and she is here to talk about her story basically. So Meg, can you tell people who you are, where you're actually situated at the moment, and what's the story behind bringing you to do what you are currently doing?
Yeah, so I currently live in northwestern Pennsylvania, really close to the New York border. And I am a women's health coach, helping middle-aged women take control of their life, their health, utilizing a faith-based method along with an anti-inflammatory meal plan. It's not just about weight loss. I offer a holistic healing program. And what got me started into where I'm at today is I struggled with alcoholism for several years. And in 2020, I slipped, I broke my hip. A few months later, I was back in the hospital in liver failure due to alcoholism and realized I needed to make some big changes. So I got sober. I started working with a health coach, and it totally transformed my life. I went back to school. I learned more. I absorbed. I started my business, but I lost 100 pounds. I've been sober for over 4 years now. And what I've learned is the more that I share, the more I interact with women, the more I talk to women, the more I heal and the more they heal. So that is my mission, and that is why I do what I do.
Wow. So that's quite a journey to have lost 100 pounds in weight. Not only to do that, but also to actually overcome an addiction as well at the same time. What would you say, Meg, it was the fundamental thing that helped you to keep going with that? Because both of those things are huge on their own, and you were doing that together.
I was doing it together. And honestly, for me, I think it had to be together. I needed to heal, and I needed to heal so I could save my life. I was in acute liver failure, and I needed to make changes all the way around. So my driving force was I had children, and I needed to be there. I needed to heal for them. And my faith played a huge part. My support system, I had the biggest cheerleading section. It just built into my family. And so I think those were the driving forces. For me, it literally was a life or death situation. And I chose to live and to heal.
So I work with women in a similar way to yourself. I work with chronic illness, as you know, because obviously you're in the group,
Mhm.
so you know why
Right.
I built this space. And and so I know as a psychotherapist of many, many years now that when we have an addiction of any kind, addiction to food, an addiction to drugs or alcohol or shopping or you name it, these are coping mechanisms for something far deeper.
Yes.
What was the trigger that got you to that place in the first place, if you don't mind me asking? You don't have to go
Um,
too deeply into it if
oh
you don't
no,
want
it's okay. I
to.
share my story freely. I think that that's part of the healing process as well. So I had left a physically abusive marriage, and at that time, I thought that that was all I needed to do, just find safety and everything would be okay. And it wasn't. I had nightmares. I had trust issues. I had a lot of hurt that I didn't address, and I turned to alcohol on top of a very high stressful job at the time. And so my coping mechanism was whiskey because I didn't do the healing that I needed to do at the time of all of the trauma. And what started as just, a drink to help with the evening stress turned into, well, I can't sleep. I have nightmares. So I'll drink a little more, which, you know, when you're in the midst of it, you think it makes total sense, but in reality, alcohol disrupts your sleep too and can cause nightmares. So I was just making the problem worse. So I just drank more and more. And then before you know it, I was no longer even drinking for those reasons. I was drinking because of physical dependence and I could no longer function without it. And so that vicious cycle just took over. But yeah, my initial trigger was a physically abusive marriage and then just not asking for the help that I needed.
That's quite a common thing that I find with women that I support and help with their mindset, their belief systems around who they are, that their own level of coping strategies, their own level of belief around what they are able to do. And it's kind of it's one of those things that we forget that this is the core of healing, is to look at who we are and what we're actually physically capable, and truly understanding that we are creating that in our own choices on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I was actually having that conversation yesterday with somebody about what led to the alcoholism and the addiction, and that it would be so easy. There was a ton of things I could have blamed, but she was asking like, well, how did because she had trauma, and she's like, why did I not become an alcoholic? I said, because you chose not to. Like I made those choices every day to drink, to not get healing, to do those things. And um I was an alcoholic because I created myself to be that way, unfortunately. And it took a little while to accept that and to realize that. But yeah, it was my fault that I was an alcoholic, not nothing else. Like those things all happened to me and I needed to heal from them and I did, but I chose to turn to the alcohol instead.
Mm. And every addiction is unique to each person. Like I've known people come to me who have got an addiction to shopping, and that absolutely creates just as much havoc in their life as alcohol or smoking or anything else that we have this dependence on in our lived experience while we're coping with something. So you say that you work with a faith-based model, and so where does that fit in with the work that you do?
So we do a lot of diving into their faith, as I work with mostly Christian women, and how do the scriptures play a part and who are you really turning to fill that void? So I was not seeking fellowship. I was not seeking church. I was not seeking any of those things that were actually going to fill me. So how do you replace that? And in the Christian faith, that there's a lot of, you can't serve two masters. So if you're serving the shopping or you're serving the food or you're serving the alcohol, where does your higher power play a role in that? Because you're completely ignoring that. You're using something else to fill the void. And we talk a lot about honoring your body as a temple, right? Like we were blessed with these beautiful bodies, these beautiful things, and treating it as a sacred being. And how do we honor that? And it's not about restriction, it's about ownership and stewardship of our bodies.
Mm. Yes, it's the body is a wonderful thing that we've been given, and to I've often said that we don't treat the body as a temple. We quite often treat it as a shed where we stuff all the
Yes.
rubbish. And it's that I think sometimes if we inject a little bit of humor into the situation, it actually flips people's mind into going, oh my word, that's exactly what I've been doing. And also, do you feel as well that when people actually start to love themselves, they will treat themselves better? Because everything that we love, we treat well. Like if we love our children, we treat them well. If we love our parents, we treat them well. If we love our home, we treat it well. So why why are we not loving ourselves enough to treat ourselves well?
Absolutely. And I think that's a big part of my program is learning to love yourself enough to honor yourself. And there's people say, well, I love myself the way I am. And I don't take away from that, but I love myself enough to know when I need to change or need to work on something or need to improve. And I always want to be the best version of myself that I can because I love myself enough to do it. And that took a while to get to that point, right? Where I did not love myself at all for a very long time. But learning to love yourself the way Jesus loves you or to see yourself that way, it does become much easier to treat yourself well. Like you said, we treat our families well, we treat our children well, we pour out, but we always put ourselves last. And we're just as deserving and worthy of that love as everybody else is.
Mm. So when you were going through your dark night of the soul, say, then, and you said you weren't seeking that faith based, that nurturing, that community. Is that a new thing? Was that a new thing for you, or did you already have faith, but it just wasn't part of your daily
Um,
life?
I I already had faith, but I grew up in the church, and we attended when my children were little. Um, but I had just stepped back from it. I was ignoring it. I was like, I just didn't. It's not that like some people will say, "Oh, I was angry at God and I turned my back." Like it wasn't any of that. I just simply, but it was like over here in the corner, like, "Oh yeah, I'll pray and I'll do this," but I wasn't utilizing it the way that I needed to be. It was just over in the distance.
Mm. And I guess then that as time went on, that and things became more challenging for you, there were other things that were coming into your life as far as your health was concerned that were adding to that problem. Because when we eat foods in the way that cause problems for us, and when we drink or have another addiction like drugs or something like that, then it also creates other chronic health conditions. What did you find was happening to you?
I had severe joint pain all the time. Like it hurt to just get up and move, headaches, irritability. My stomach was just a wreck, which was probably a combination of the alcohol and the food, right? Like all of that. I wasn't sleeping well. So just all around, I just felt horrible. And I wasn't checking, so I didn't realize it until I got hospitalized. But my blood pressure was really high and out of control. So that was leading to me not feeling well. I just didn't know that I was suffering from high blood pressure because I could have blamed those feelings on a gazillion other things that was making me not feel well. But so yeah, when I got into the hospital, I left on a lot of medications, blood pressure med being one of them. But when I stopped drinking and I started working with a coach and eating the way that was fueling my body and healing my body, literally within 3 months, I was off of every medication and my liver had healed. Just by allowing my body to do what it does naturally
Mm.
and fueling it and taking care of it. The doctors were like, "What did you do?" I'm like, "I just started doing what I should have been doing." Um, so yeah, it's an amazing thing when we allow it to work the way it's supposed to.
That's right. Yes, I'm a big advocate of that. Our bodies were designed perfectly. They've got a perfect immune system, perfect cleansing system. We don't need to do anything outside of that. Just allow it to work the way the
Yes,
creator intended. So that's a powerful lesson for anybody watching today who's feeling stuck, who's feeling as if they don't know a way forward and they're suffering by themselves. Then there are people like yourself out there willing to help and have a methodology to work around some of those things, and the mindset too, because obviously the mindset, the belief system, all of that things feeds into what you do, I would imagine. Yes, not just about the food.
Yes, it's not just about the food, because we can fuel our bodies and we can do all that, but if we're not addressing stress and triggers and all of that, it becomes just another little diet that you're going to try, and your body doesn't function and heal unless it's a holistic approach. If we can't control the stress hormones and if we're not sleeping well, if we're not doing any of those, it's also intertwined. So yes, it's a very holistic thing, far beyond just what we eat.
Definitely. Meg, it's been enlightening talking to you about how you approach this particular situation, and I want to thank you so much for being open and vulnerable enough to share your story, because a lot of people would find that difficult. So I want to thank you so much for giving
Thank
us the
you.
time today, because it's really, really important for many women in the group. We are now at 1,300 people in this group, and I know there'll be people who are sitting back just watching these videos, watching how the group is progressing and going, and wanting to get a lot out of the group from all of the people that come on to interview and tell their story and share their vulnerability as well, so that they know that they're not alone in the background. So if there is anybody watching today and has been inspired by Meg's story and would like to find out a little bit more about how she helps people, what that would look like for you if you decided to contact her, then please put a comment in the post, tag Meg and ask her a question and engage in conversation, and I'm sure she'll be more than happy to help you.
Absolutely. I would love to chat with anybody that has questions and offer any support that I can.
Thank you, Meg. I'm just going to end the live stream now, and we'll have a little chat. Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching, everyone.